Hey everybody, thanks for watching. We're in Traverse City at the Denos Museum in the King Tut exhibit, if you couldn't tell. And we're talking to Melissa from Blackbird Arts. Thanks for making the time.
Sure, thank you for having me.
All right, we got a couple of things to get to. First, let's talk a little bit about Blackbird Arts in Traverse. What is this?
So we are a community-based nonprofit arts organization that serves a 5-county region, and we work to make the arts accessible to a much broader population.
Okay, so when you talk about that, about making it more accessible, what does that mean?
Well, we have several community programs. So we have one called Arts Without Walls, which means that we go out into the community or into rural areas to bring quality arts education to them for, children and adults that can't come into the studio.
Right. How are we doing on all this? Because, school budgets being what they are and things getting cut, how are we doing on educating kids primarily about art and getting them fired up about it?
Yeah. I think it's a struggle in the schools. The teachers are kind of loaded down with a lot of the testing, and art just keeps getting cut, shorter and shorter blocks of time. So I think it's a challenge.
Yeah.
And kids need the time, especially children really need that time to experiment and problem solve. So it's tricky.
And explaining to folks why it's important and getting that consumption, because I know I took a fine arts class in college, which led me to broadcasting. That's a different story. But yeah, I mean, it was interesting. But breaking it up into an easily consumable piece would be one thing I think you would address, right?
Yeah, and I think focusing on the process of using one's voice, figuratively to create, and it helps us see the world in a different lens. And so when children are encouraged to experiment and to be supportive in the studio environment, they're much more willing to jump into the arts.
Yeah, and now you do workshops. What kind of, you do several different types of workshops, right?
You mean here at the Denos?
Well, just in general. I mean, just as far as education is concerned and things like that.
Yeah, we have about 20 classes and workshops a week in the studio, and then we do about 10 off-site a week.
Yeah, and that's why we're at the Denos, because you do one here, the Cartouche, right? What is this?
So our Cartouche is basically like a royal nameplate. And for a little fun and a way to engage the public, we are doing a clay hand building workshop where families or adults, children will come in and build their own. They'll build a larger one that could go on a wall, and then a small pendant one, which is more traditionally how they would have been.
And this would be something that they could take with them.
Yeah, exactly. And they'll learn a little bit about Egyptian hieroglyphs and just have fun with it.
All right, when is that workshop specifically?
That is Saturday, April 7th from 1 to 3 p.m.
And if people hear that and want to sign up, how can they do that?
Sure, they can go to our website, blackbirdartstc.org, and I also know that the Denos has links to the sign up.
How did you get hooked up with Blackbird Arts? What's your art background?
I actually don't have art isn't my primary background. My background is in anthropology and archaeology. And then I have a master's in education, but I always did arts integration in the schools and took studio classes. So it was just a natural fit.
Yeah. And the Denos just going through its big expansion. What do you think about all that? I mean, this is fantastic.
It's beautiful, and I love the way it highlights some of our really incredible local artists as well.
Right. Blackbird Arts, once again, where can they find out more information?
Go to our website, blackbirdartstc.org, or swing by the studio. We're at 1485 Barlow.
Excellent. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right, at the King Tut exhibit at the Denos in Traverse City, I'm Vic McCarty, My News 26.